With YouTube demonetizing independent media, please consider becoming a patron today for just $1 per month. Link below. Hey, what's going on, everyone? My name is Matt Jarbo. This is the Mundane Matt channel, and I promised I was going to cover this. If you happen to catch the Brie Larson video from yesterday, she did cite this particular USC study as one of the reasons why she created the culture war, started the culture war surrounding Captain Marvel. And it's unfortunate that that's the case. But I wanted to take a look here at this particular study to see what it was saying, so maybe we have a better understanding of what Brie Larson said, as well as kind of poking fun at this entire situation. Because let's be realistic here. This whole thing is literally just a way to bitch and moan about who's reviewing movies. Never mind the fact that it's literally in any one game. Anyone can come in and review movies, right? A year ago, I started a channel called $3 Theater, where I do review movies sometimes. I talk about current events in movies and things like that. And I've been doing that for a year. And I'm a straight white dude. And I've had some successes, I've had some failures, but the channel's been growing. So, am I part of the problem? Well, the study, probably not, according to the study. But ultimately, if you were to ask people behind it, yeah, they'd probably sit there and say, well, people listen to you because I give my opinion and I put in the work. Nothing's handed to me. That's my personal take on it. My beef with these kind of studies is it's never about equality. It's about equity. It's about being given something. And it says here that the University of Southern California issued a report this week complaining that most film critics are white and male, arguing that the field should be evenly distributed among men, women, and underrepresented individuals. Now, I do believe that different voices can lend different types of criticism and commentary and understanding or explanation of certain elements in films. 100% believe that. But again, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. And that's kind of where we find ourselves. Now, it goes on to say here that a recent report from the University of Southern California frets that film critics are largely white and male and offers solutions that are designed to solve the problem. How about just encouraging people to go see movies and then to give their thoughts online, right? That's the whole point, isn't it? It's like people get into film journalism, they get into film critique because they love the medium. If someone were to come in and review a movie and they don't like movies, why would I want to listen to what they have to say? It's one of my biggest beefs with the games review industry, game journalism, is that a lot of times these people hate games. They hate the community. They hate the hobby. And as a result, I don't want to listen to what they have to say because they don't care. They're not there to talk about it from the perspective of being an enthusiast and trying to work for the betterment. They're there to get a paycheck. And I kind of feel like we're going to see a lot of that stuff here with this particular study. Now, according to USC News, the Associate Professor of Communication, Stacy Smith, and the USC Annenberg Inclusion Initiative penned the Critic's Choice report to investigate inclusion among film reviewers and examine access and opportunity for film critics. Right. Okay. So we're going to start. They're going to really push a lot of nonsense with this. I can already tell. It says the report uses reviews of the top 100 grossing films of 2017 posted on the site Rotten Tomatoes to assess gender and race/ethnicity of critics, finding that reviewers are overwhelmingly white and male. I can't really speak to that entire process. Ultimately, it's like there are people that do submit reviews to Rotten Tomatoes. Every outlet picks somebody to go and do that. Not every review makes it on there. And ultimately, aggregate sites like Rotten Tomatoes are really, really, really overutilized. These people are not selling tickets. That's the thing. Going on YouTube and watching someone who just saw the movie and giving their thoughts has a better shot at selling tickets than someone on Rotten Tomatoes. We've seen this again going back to games reviews and the fact that the ESA says that only like around 11% or so of game reviews in publications, be it print or media, result in sales. Whereas it's a lot higher when you look at people like myself who do this as a job, and we're basically the influencers, right? We give you more of a personal, no corporate take. These are all relatively corporate takes that happen with this particular website. Now, in June, the study includes many infographics detailing the prevalence of white males in the film critic community, as well as breakdown of other diversity statistics. One illustration, for instance, sets a target demographic makeup for the film critic community of 30% white males, 30% white females, 20% underrepresented males, and 20% underrepresented females. So the 30-30-20-20 split. right? So basically 50-50. That's kind of where things are right now with like the Me Too movement sort of thing. Or time's up, I should say. Now, groups should think in phases of 30-30-20-20. This is the U.S. population breakdown for white males, white females, underrepresented males, and underrepresented females. So what they want is pure split. But as I previously stated, you're not always going to be able to you can lead a horse to water, you can't make him drink. Maybe not everybody wants to jump into that. And there are clearly roles that are there. There are clearly, jobs that are available, but maybe people just don't want them. And so that's the whole point. And then also maybe people have discovered that it's more lucrative to just go and do something else. Being a film critic does not pay a lot of money unless you are a syndicated film critic. Just working for some website or working for some publication might pay you a living wage, but it's not going to do much more than that at all. And it's extremely frugal in the digital age. So yeah, it's a thing. A lot of people are fighting to get by. Now one illustration, for instance, across the 100 top movies of 2017 and the 19,559 reviews, male critics authored 77.8% of reviews and female critics authored 22.2%. This translates into a gender ratio of 3.5 male reviewers for every one female. Okay. Likewise, the report stresses that white critics authored 82% of reviews, whereas critics from underrepresented racial/ethnic groups authored just 18%. So, I mean, granted, if they're referring to, Rotten Tomatoes doesn't give you a breakdown in terms of the location, right? So you're not really looking at like American reviewers or English reviewers. They come from, it's an amalgamation from across the country or from across the world. You'll find reviews from like Ireland and South Africa and Mexico and Spain, depending on really where the movie is released first. Or who gets access to the movie early on. And as movies tend to get released overseas first, you might see a lot of those type of non-Americans. But this isn't really focusing on that. I'm just kind of adding that in for a little bit of extra information. Now, the document also suggests that review aggregator sites could provide consumers with information regarding how many reviews for a film are authored by women and or people of color or even other communities. Which they say would allow consumers to understand how reviewer perceptions might influence how films are scored, especially films with female or underrepresented lead characters. Now, the thing is, a lot of these critics that are going into it are oftentimes very left-leaning. So they're going to argue in favor of what it is that this particular study is trying to argue for. They're going to argue oftentimes in favor of that diverse lead, of the way that there was a gender breakdown or how certain cultures were shown or showcased and how they were treated. Though you're going to see a lot of that. So that's kind of already happening. And it gets criticized quite often because oftentimes it feels like that's used often as more of as an attack on a film that doesn't get it right than anything else. Again, we see this in gaming quite often. And it's very much the progressive stack, the progressive side of things. And this particular study is pushing for that, but you kind of already got that same opinion. You just want different people writing those opinions, which I can understand where they're coming from. Again, I believe everything should be done based upon merit versus something that is given or entitlement. But, we don't live in a perfect world, right? Now, similarly, the researchers contend that critic societies should investigate the path that individuals take to become critics and how that may limit the participation of women and or people of color from participating in the field, and proposes that outlets that publish reviews should examine their own review staff and determine whether they employ a balanced review team and assign film reviews in an equitable manner. So essentially speaking, and going back to the Wrinkle in Time thing, you would want a black female reviewing A Wrinkle in Time because it was directed by a black female. Then you would want a 70-year-old white person. At least that's what Brie Larson was kind of alluding to in her speech that caused a lot of problems. Now, instruction in both journalism and film school should cover a variety of perspectives to offer the next generation of critics a window into film criticism that does not replicate white or male-centric view of the field. Now, it also calls for the schools to investigate the enrollment of women and or people of color in their programs and to make strides to increase the numbers as needed. And again, that's this diversity for diversity's sake. I have nothing against diversity, nothing against inclusion. I just want the people that are there to want to be there. If it's just done as an initiative in order, it kind of comes across as tokenism. which is never a good thing. I think that's something that's horrible on anyone. I think either denying someone access to something based upon the color of their skin is horrible, and denying, or giving something to someone based upon the color of their skin is also horrible. You should never do that. But this is kind of when you see the comment there to make strides to increase the numbers as needed is very much to push that particular agenda, which is not how you get a merit-based society. It's not how you get true equality. It comes across as pandering and ultimately gets looked down upon. But then again, the progressive side of things in terms of Hollywood and the movie media and things like that, they're going to basically chomp at the bits for this sort of thing. They're going to eat it up because it falls very much in their ideological narrative that they tend to put forward on everything else. Now, lastly, the report turns attention to the entertainment industry practitioners, pointing out that studios and distributors control which critics are able to view films before they are released, and therefore can enforce greater diversity by changing who has access to pre-release screenings. So, again, it's more equity than it is merit, and that's really annoying in the long run, because here's the thing: is like, blocking someone from seeing a movie because, like, okay, like, let's say, for example, you have a Tyler Perry movie. Tyler Perry movies are very much aimed at the black community, which is fine. That's where he's made his money. But they also have a lot of white audience members as well. And so if you were to, let's say, try to only allow black people to review the movie, it could, who knows where, if it has the same reach, or if it would ever have the same reach, or vice versa. Again, it's one of these things where movies are not necessarily made for one specific group. There are specific groups of people out there that try to claim said movies as theirs. They do, and they're never necessarily successful, but they very much try to do that. And when that happens, and it's pushed by studies like this, or it's backed by the same kind of mindset that creates these kind of studies, it further drives a wedge. Movies are kind of like a great unifier. Everyone is equal when you're sitting in a movie theater, a darkened theater, watching something on the screen that somebody else created. You person sitting next to me, I don't care who you are, I don't care what you've done, I don't care anything about you. We're enjoying the exact same experience. Now, we might experience that differently, but we're still equal in our presentation of it, right? Or in its presentation to us. How we interpret that's entirely different, but how we got there and what we're doing is the equal part. And that's the whole point. They should really open up more screenings for more people, and people out there should put not as much emphasis on Rotten Tomatoes, because Rotten Tomatoes sucks as it is. But of course, instead of trying to find a way to include everybody, they want to find a way just for diversity's sake. And that's so sad. It is so ridiculously sad. But what do you guys have to say about this? Let me know in the comments below. My name is, of course, Matt Jarbo. This is the Mundane Matt channel. If you haven't already, please thumbs up the video, subscribe to the channel, check back often for more content from me. If you liked it and you want to support the channel, Patreon is a good way to do that. Teespring, a good way to do that. Or just keep watching content. In fact, if you want to see more content, you can do so right now.